Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 8 Dead Giants. We're not dead. I'm sorry. It's been the longest gap of an episode since we started. It's been 3 weeks. I've not been away. We've not been on holiday, and there's only one reason. And today I'm joined by my co-host, really, the guy that does the most of these podcasts with me. So I think we're going to upgrade the giant status here for Rob to co-host. So Rob, you're now co-host. Welcome. And it's good to speak to you, mate. Good to see you. Yeah, promotion, straight up.
Yeah, just straight up promotion. That's not how I expected to start my Sunday mid-morning, but yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, so like basically I'm thinking that's where we're at now. You're my go-to guy. You come and do these the most with me. So, and honestly, I can do them solo, and I thought about doing one solo. I asked you if you were available last week. It was short notice, very short notice, and unfortunately you weren't. And I was like, I could do this, but honestly, I was still recovering from the thing that broke me for the last 3 weeks, which was Tron Ares.
In
it broke
good
me.
way or a bad way?
In a very, very bad way. I was so bummed out about that movie because, the discourse around it after the fact hasn't helped, obviously, in its box office complete flop status, and it's basically the end of Tron. I can't see Disney ever going back to that well. At this point, or at least not for another 10 years or 15 years or whatever. If they try again with Star Wars and Star Wars also doesn't go great, maybe Tron will reappear. But like, I just was so bad. And it was such a disappointment. That's the thing. It was such a disappointment. The film wasn't like every bit of it was terrible, but I was just so bummed out after watching it. It was just bad.
We saw each other at D&D after you saw Tron Ares, and we didn't discuss it in huge amounts of detail, but you said just wait for streaming, don't bother, which for you is very uncommon.
It was just like everything that was cool was in the trailer, and it had like a total lack of creativity in its production and its direction and its visuals, even its music, which was easily its best thing, but even that didn't elevate it like Daft Punk elevated Legacy. And look, Jared Leto was fine. The woman, actor's name I still can't remember, was fine. But like everything about it was just so obvious, predictable, kind of boring. Like it just didn't we talk about it on the podcast like 3 weeks ago? I'm sure we did.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, but that's it, right? Like you don't even remember.
No.
Do you know what I mean? This is the problem. It was so just disheartening. But I kind of wanted to start the episode with that and then move. We're going to do another contiguous episode, no breaks. We're just going to ramble through. We're going to chat for however long we chat for. But basically, I wanted to start there because I went to see the latest installment this weekend, yesterday, of another long-running franchise that I hold dear to my heart. So we're sensing some similarities. We're sensing some similarities here. And that was Predator Badlands, right? Which also, the previous installment in the franchise was a big hit. In this franchise, it was Prey from 2022 or 2021, which came out during the pandemic, so it went straight to streaming, but was a really big streaming hit at the time, directed by a guy called Dan Trachtenberg. And he's back to do this new film, Predator Badlands. But I am really happy to report that everything that Tron Ares did wrong, Predator Badlands did right. So it was able to reinvigorate my love of a franchise movie and not just to feel depressed at like the inevitability of all of them being terrible. Predator Badlands was excellent. Like really, really good. How are you connected to Predator at all, Rob? Like, have you dabbled? Have you seen them? Or is it the same as it is with Alien for you?
The sadistic grin that has appeared. Alien vs. Predator is a great movie. I watched it in the run-up to Halloween, again, as background noise while I'm working. And it's fine. It's enjoyable. It's a cheapy, cheerful action flick.
So you've not even seen the original Predator, like "Get to the chopper" and all those amazing Arnie quotes. That you've never actually seen that movie.
Nope. I know what happens. I know how he outwits him. I know
seen all the gifs.
Story.
Yeah.
But I have never actually watched Predator from start to end.
Okay.
Same with Predator 2. Never happened. Yeah, my first exposure to the Predators was in AVP. That was the first time I'd seen a Predator on film.
The Predator franchise, kind of similar to the Alien franchise, has had ups and downs, right? It's not been consistently excellent by any means. I have fondness even for the bad ones, but but they are bad ones, right? So Predator is an 80s action classic, ensemble cast, built up around Arnie, so many quotable lines, amazing action, brilliant concept, really just fun, and I'll have to lend it to you to watch. It's just a really, really good time in the cinema or at home video. And then Predator 2 takes it in a very different direction, takes it out of the jungle, puts it in the city. Danny Glover, more of a cop character than a soldier.
Jungle.
Yeah, exactly. More of a cop character than an army character. They build a lot of the mythos out. They do quite a lot with the universe in that one. Build out kind of what the Predator is and stuff, and it gives us quite a lot to go on. And then there was a big old gap between that and the next one, which was, I want to say, Predators with the plural, which was Adrian Brody on an alien planet. They got abducted, and it was a game reserve. And then the next one was The Predator, which was the Shane Black movie, which takes it in a very strange direction, and it's not great. It clearly was massively cut to pieces in the edit. It's another ensemble piece. He brings a lot of his kind of trademark humor to it. Famously, obviously, Shane Black was actually physically in as an actor in the original Predator, and here he is directing The Predator 20 odd years later, I believe. And it's inconsistent. I absolutely detested it when I saw it at the cinema. I've kind of grown on me a little bit on home video, but yeah, it's a strange one. That a lot, and yeah, people kind of go wildly between liking it and hating it, and people's opinions seem to change on it every year. It's a strange one. And then we had Prey, which is where Dan Trachtenberg took hold of this, and it sets it back in the past, in the I think 17 or 1800s, and the main characters are Native Americans, and them facing up against a single predator again. And that's a fantastically clever movie, really, really tight and awesome. And then obviously amongst all of this, we had the AVP movies, which are sort of separate again. They use the IP, they use the property, but they don't really feel like Predator movies or Alien movies, really. Especially the second one, which I think is just awful. The first one's pretty good, but the second one is genuinely terrible.
The second one was someone's bright idea at 5 o'clock on a Friday, where they'd been up for 72 hours straight. Went, oh my god, what if there was an alien predator? And they just ran with it, and they shouldn't have.
So the Pred Alien concept comes from the comic books. They were actually really good run of Alien versus Predator were first comic books put out by Dark Horse, and that's where the connection with Alien comes from Predator 2. Where in the ship at the end, you see an alien skull on the wall, which was just a silly Easter egg. But from that point on, they had books, they had comics that started to run with that idea, and then the films got made, and they've kind of canonically now put them in the same universe. Okay? So here we are now, up to date. Predator Badlands. This is the most unique take on the Predator. It does the thing in this complete paradigm shift. It's in the trailer. It's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. That's how I consider these things. But the Predator in this goes from antagonist to protagonist. The main character in this film is a Predator, or a Junta, right? Which is the name of the Predator race.
Yeah.
And he's a character called Deck, and he's on a quest to prove himself. I won't go into too many spoilers. And he ends up teaming with, and again in the trailers, a synthetic from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, played by Elle Fanning. And it's basically a buddy cop quest movie on another alien planet where they have to go through stuff and try to hunt this thing. But there's loads more that happens that I'm not going to spoil. But it's actually brilliant, right? So what Tron Ares lacked with creative direction and fun, interesting, exciting combat sequences and fighting sequences, this has got in spades. Things in this movie I'd never seen before, in terms of fights and in terms of setup. And I've seen a shit ton of movies, let's be clear, and there were things in this I'd never seen before. And that was awesome. To be genuinely surprised. To go from the beginning of the movie where I was feeling trepidation, is this going to work? It's a Predator. He's the lead character. He talks throughout this film in a Predator language and is only subtitled, right? You don't get him speaking English. Elle Fanning speaks English, so you get her, and she does a lot of the dialogue, really. That's how they kind of get around it. But you go, how am I going to relate to this guy? But over the course of this movie, by the end of the first act and the second act, the bond is formed, and you genuinely care about what happens to Deck, the quest he's on, the character development he gets. He's got a proper arc It's fantastic. It's so well done. I cannot stress it enough. I was blown away by this because my expectations were pretty damn low, and this far exceeded them. This was a awesome cinematic experience. I can't wait to own the 4K Blu-ray of this. Like, I'm excited to have this as part of my Aliens and Predator collection. Like, I actually said to I want an action figure of Deck. I literally want. He's so cool. Like it's that effective. And people have said, is this the Disney / Star Warsification of Predator? It's only rated a 12A, and Predator is like a adult, gory, violent movie. And I'm like, this is only a 12A. The reason it's a 12A, it's very clever actually what he's done here, because the violence is extreme, but it's violence between alien creatures, aliens, and synthetics. So because of that,
there's no humans.
No humans in this film at all. So because of that, you can avoid the 15 or 18 rating. You've got synthetics being torn to pieces, being blown up, jibbed, body parts used as weapons. But because it's the white, Weyland-Yutani synthetic goo blood, you're fine. And it's such a clever way around it. It's genius. And predators bleed like a neon green, so there's no red blood in this film, so you can get around it. I'm sat in there. Pretty empty cinema, but of course, a family of 4 sits in front of us. Mum, Dad, the 2 kids. The kids are about 7 or 8, and I'm like sitting there going, "Oh God, what's going to happen? Are they going to be a nightmare?" First of all, they were very well behaved, and secondly, they didn't seem to be crying, their eyes out, because it wasn't that bad. Obviously, they've been cinematically educated up to this point, as I was at that age, so they weren't freaking out at the sign of all the violence, but they were entertained, they were quiet, and there's a lot of subtitles in this movie, like a lot of subtitles, and it still worked for them. I was really impressed by that, really surprised. But it's a riotous good time, and because of the setting and because of the approach. If you've never seen a Predator movie before or an Alien movie, you're fine. Because there's stuff in there like the significance of them being Weyland-Yutani synths isn't lost on me, but if you've not experienced that, I think you'd be absolutely fine. And do you know what else blew me away, Rob? No exposition. The film didn't start with, "This is the Yunta race. They have famously hunted on Earth for many centuries. Back in the past, Weyland-Yutani have grown as a corporation and have also fought for xenomorphs. This is a connected universe, don't you know?" None of it. No bullshit exposition. It just throws you in there. It lets you be intelligent, lets you work it out, lets you get involved with the characters in the universe and connect with it on its own terms. And how rare is that in a movies nowadays, let alone a 12A, let alone a Disney film? I was blown away by the maturity of the storytelling. Dan Trachtenberger's quickly becoming one of my favourite directors. Beautiful visuals, brilliant action, quality direction. Again, with all the challenges he's got there. I've got an alien race here that are only going to speak in their alien language, which we're creating for this film, and is awesome, right? So it's alien enough, but also you quickly learn the tones and the sounds, and he can emote through it, so the character can still perform through it. It's just, I was blown away, Rob. I think you could go with your almost non-existent Predator and Alien experience and have a great time watching this, for example.
I will watch it when it comes to streaming and stuff. Cinemas are expensive now. The time investment to go to a cinema as well is something that we struggle with. So it is a film I do want to watch. It is a film I do want to see. I didn't realise it was a 12A, which
I didn't until I sat down. When I sat down and the little children came in, I was like, "What the fuck is happening? This is surely a 15." And then I looked it up on my phone. It's 12A, and I was like, "Oh shit." So I was even more worried, by the way, at the start of the movie. What am I about to sit and watch? You're thinking
it's going to be some kiddie-ized version of the Predator where nothing violent happens and they just yell at each other until one of them goes, "Yes, you raised a logical point. I'm going to go away now." That must have been quite an interesting sensation. Sit down and do a 7-year and 8-year-old just sit in front of you whoa.
What am I doing? This is a Predator film. What's happening? I was so confused.
They're going to freak out in the first 30 seconds and scream and cry and make the movie experience hell, or what the fuck's going on?
No, just because I'm that guy, my first thought was, right, well, I'm going to go up and find an usher and complain and say, "What are they doing in this cinema? Because they shouldn't be in here. They've snuck in." But no, it was a 12A, so I'm like, shit, I can't say anything. Because they did sit literally right in front of us in a 90% empty cinema, and I was just
That
like,
I hate.
but right, because we're cinema goers and we really care about the experience, we always sit middle, right? We never sit at the back, we sit middle, and they sat in the row in front of us because it was also middle, because they clearly are cinema goers and knew, and they were educating the kids on how to do cinema. And I was like, oh, do you know what? All right, I've got some respect for this, and I'll reevaluate, especially as they were well behaved. It was awesome, Rob. Like, it was so good. I mean, you know, you often mention about watching movies as a second screen thing when you're doing something else. That's not watching a movie, Rob. And it greatly upsets me. I can do it on a rewatch, right? What I do a lot of now is I rip a lot of my 4K Blu-rays as I get them, and I listen. I put a second screen on with a commentary track while I'm doing something else, like playing a game and stuff, because I love to learn about the film and the process. But you've already seen it, and it's a commentary track, so that it's almost like a podcast at that point, right? So I'll do that a lot, but I couldn't do it on a first watch. So I thought it was genuinely, surprisingly amazing. Like so the reviews out there have been like 3-4 stars. I think this is definitely a 4-star movie out of 5 for me. I think
so 8 out of 10. Got it.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones of the year. It's a lot better than Tron Ares, and it has single-handedly given me faith back to the franchise movie experience. They don't have to be terrible. They don't even have to be terrible if they're from Disney. Like, and I think, you know, people need to give movies a chance even when their track record is poor, like it is with Disney. It was quality, mate. It was really, really good.
Oh, definitely one I look to watch when it comes out, and that's one I probably will watch rather than have it on. Typically, when I watch a movie on a second screen while I'm working or while I'm gaming or something, it's because it's a movie I've seen before. It's a movie I don't hugely have a stake in, because I know that there's a good action sequence coming up. It's background noise, and I can just go, oh, yep, cool action sequence done, back on with work.
I mean, it's the most badass a Predator's ever been, I think. Some of the stuff he does in this movie is just awesome and different. Also, 2 or 3 laugh out loud moments, Rob, that catch you off guard but are really well done. And I don't want to spoil some of the characters and the twists. I've tried to keep the spoilery bits just the stuff in the trailer, but like, honestly, like there's some characters in there that you don't expect, and some of the things they do and how they make you feel is, again, not what you'd expect from a Predator movie. Like, really cool. Really, really cool. Really, really cool. I can carry on, or do you have any movies? And the next couple will be a bit quicker, I think.
Nothing particularly interesting. I went through a bit of a phase of rewatching the Scream franchise a touch whilst I was in the run-up to Halloween. I went to watch Megan for years, or for ages since it came out. It was fine. I watched the sequel. It was fine.
Yeah, they're both on my list as well, and I've never watched either of the Megan movies. I feel like I'd enjoy them, that as silly kind of sci-fi horror popcorn crap, but like...
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. The second one isn't horror, the second one is more action-based.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that, and I was like... That's weird, right? Like, this is a successful horror franchise, and you've moved in a complete different direction. That's
some
interesting.
Of the like underlying ethical story beats underneath it are, I'm gonna use the phrase heavy-handed. Like it's the equivalent of using a massive sledgehammer to crack open an acorn. You can't miss the message because it is signposted with neon arrows, but it's not an incorrect message. The message is still valid. The over-reliance on AI is going to come back to bite us in the arse, but nobody is paying attention. But yeah, I do recommend them. I'm going to bow down to your out of 5 rating because it irritates me, but 3 out of 5 for both of them. 6 out of 10s. Yeah.
Okay.
They're fine. They're mediocre. There's nothing exceptional about them. They're cheesy popcorn flicks.
The first Megan was a COVID hit, wasn't it, on the streaming?
I think so.
Yeah, and it's one. I think films of that, we were starved for content, first
Yeah.
of all. And then when something came out, I think people were so eager to latch on to anything in those 2-3 years that I think something's got maybe a pass they didn't always deserve or were regarded a bit higher than maybe they were warranted. But, I do want... They're on my list. I've got them to watch, and I've just never gotten around to it. Like, I've never been in quite the right mood, I guess. Even in this season of horror, which I'm going to use as a pivot to a horror movie I picked up on a 4K Blu-ray special edition release from Arrow by John Carpenter, and it actually was a gap, kind of a gap in my movie knowledge. I'd seen it when I was maybe 10, 12 years old on a late night broadcast on a Channel 4 or something like that, and it had fucked me up. Like, to the point where I'd been scared to watch it ever again since. And you know how your memories, when you're from that age with something you've seen, get fuzzier and it's less specific, and you can't actually really remember why you were so scared of it, but you kind of remember that feeling of, oh, this really stayed with me and messed me up. So I finally got round to watching In the Mouth of Madness, which is one of John Carpenter's amazing horror movies, and he made it after he made The Thing, but it's part of a loose trilogy he did, which I think is called like his Darkness trilogy or something like that, which has also got another movie in it, which I've just popped out of my head, which I haven't seen as well. But I love The Thing. It's one of my all-time favourite movies. So I was like, do you know what? Special edition, Arrow, I'm a sucker for them. I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to pop it in, I'm going to watch it. And I actually felt myself having to psych myself up to watch it because I still had that memory of that feeling of being so messed up from seeing it. And it stars Sam Neill, which most people know as Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park, right? Amazing actor, New Zealand actor, but also often drawn to horror. One of his other most iconic roles, Event Horizon, in which it is another very, very scary film. Probably the scariest film, actually, I've ever seen, Event Horizon. And I was like, oh, God, all right, how much is this going to fuck me up? No, I don't know what I was worried about. It's so camp. It's so camp. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. But it basically, you might like the sound of this, Rob. The concept is Lovecraftian creatures from the Stygian abyss, just beyond our understanding of reality, and an author who is kind of in league with them, uses the power of his words and his text to spread the message so that it opens the door and gives power to this evil, so it can come back into our reality and take back over what he used to control after being banished millennia ago, right? So I quite like a Lovecraftian mythos. I think that they're very, very dark and twisted and weird, obviously where Cthulhu and Yog-Sothoth and all those classics have come from. And then in this, it's all about this author called Sutter Kane, who's basically like Stephen King times 100. He's like super popular, but he's in league with these guys, and he's trying to get his book published. And then it's all about Sam Neill and his kind of questioning what is real, because this author is shaping reality with his words, with what he writes. So that's what I think fucked me up as a kid, right? The idea of what is real as a concept to a 10-year-old. That's the bit that I kind of messed my mind up the most. So I think this movie, and then there's some great practical creature effects in this, some scary moments, but the main horror comes from this existential confusion caused by the question of reality, and is reality just shaped by like a kind of gestalt consciousness of humanity? Therefore, if we all believe in a thing, it makes it real? Or is reality something more concrete than that? Because is reality just what we perceive, and once we stop perceiving it, kind of like we're talking about sort of simulation theory, and we're getting into these concepts that people are playing with a lot more now, the Matrix, and lots of filmmakers have delved into this. But this is much more on that kind of horror side of it. And Sam Neill is just fucking amazing in this. Like he goes through it all. Like he starts off as this slimy corporate kind of like he's an insurance adjuster, so this guy goes around and basically proving people's insurance claims are fake, and this comes from this author Sutter Kane going missing, and the publishing company wants to get him declared dead and claim the insurance. So that's where he ends up on this path of investigation for it. But he goes through so much to the end. I won't spoil where he ends up, but it's a very, very dark ending, and it's not a happy one, and it's a very cool movie. But yeah, creature effects and the actual horror, not that camp, but as a thought piece, as a Lovecraftian kind of thought experiment, pretty cool, like really inventive, and like you don't see a lot of films like that, right? You really don't. It's not a genre that has loads of entries in it.
No.
So I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
You'll probably never watch that, but
Probably
I
not.
do
Although I
recommend
do
it.
like the Lovecraftian concept, so
Oh, okay.
it's
You might enjoy it. Maybe you should then.
interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
it's probably the most overt Lovecraftian stuff I've seen in a film where it's the core of it. Now, there's a couple of movies. Have you seen Kristen? Is it Kristen Stewart's Underwater? Have you seen that one? That ends up right at the end of the movie going, Lovecraftian, like that, right?
Really?
It's Lovecraftian. But like this is Lovecraftian throughout. So I think if you do enjoy that stuff, like there's whole lines of dialogue. I believe somebody actually says Stygian abyss in this movie, if I remember rightly. So you don't normally hear phrases quite like that in cinema. So yeah, I think if you're in the mood for that, if you want some Lovecraftian, there's nothing really as much as that.
Okay.
Like yeah, really really cool. And then I'll fly into my final piece. Couldn't be really actually scarier than this. And scarier than any horror movie, but in a very, very different way, is A House of Dynamite. That's just come out on Netflix in the last couple of weeks. Now, this is a very modern-day set, taut thriller about what happens, what would America do if a single, unattributed nuclear missile was launched at the country, and what would the response in the US be to that? It's directed by Catherine Bigelow, Hurt Locker, and other really, really good. Zero Dark 30. She makes really good, taut, often politically driven, realistic films, and this is another one in that vein. Idris Elba, Rebecca Ferguson. It's a fantastic ensemble cast, even more than that, stacked with great actors. And it's Rashomon style, so it's told from 3 different perspectives. So the film is in 3 parts, all of it looking at this nuclear missile that's heading towards an American city. I won't name which, because I guess you could call it a spoiler. But it's about the horror of what that reaction to that would be. Wow. And it is chilling. It is chilling and realistic, very well researched. And it's interestingly because at the moment I've also just finished a book called Nuclear War, A Scenario, written by Annie Jacobson. And it's so weird that these are both at the same time, because House of Dynamite almost felt like an adaptation of this, because it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. And if you don't know a lot about what a nuclear threat response would look like, this is educational, interesting, and absolutely terrifying. I mean, proper scary end of the world shit. Like,
what I'm taking from this is that you need to discover better genres of books to read than what would happen in nuclear war.
It's fucking interesting, dude. No, it's really, really interesting.
We're on the brink of it anyway. Why?
Well, then shouldn't you know?
That? You could just read the newspaper.
Shouldn't you know what you're facing, right? So basically, within 60, any single nuclear missile launch that actually will detonate on a city will result in counter launches, almost certainly from all the nuclear superpowers, which results in entire global extinction, right? So there's no good reaction.
I've got the spoiler alert down. Why read and watch about it?
Because
I know what's going to happen.
Because that's what it is. I think what it is that to us, we don't have a lot of influence, but as a single person, right? But if people as a humanity raise their awareness to the point where it cannot be ignored, maybe we can get to a point where that thought of this is an option, nuclear war is an option, is completely removed from the discussion. And I think that's what we have to strive for, total nuclear disarmament, because there's no good nuclear exchange. They all end badly for everyone. So
I agree with everything you're saying, but unfortunately we don't have the most sane popular world leaders, not naming any names. One of them's an orangutan.
You can name them, I don't care. Name them. Trump, Putin, Kim Jong, they're all fucking psychos, yes.
Yeah, so until they're gone, you might as well just try and piss in the wind and stop a nuclear bomb.
But I think it's a long process, right? Stuff like this, getting out into popular culture through films on Netflix, through best-selling books. It will. The hope is that it slowly builds into that pop culture, and that that movement of mindset affects 10, 20, 30 years down the line, where unilateral disarmament is something we could actually put on the table realistically for every nation, right?
Yeah,
but it's hard, it's difficult, but very, very difficult.
Why do we need a movie when we have real-world atrocities? Surely the atrocity should be an inspiration for us not to want to inflict that upon other people
but
again.
The scale...
oh no, a movie said it, so it's better. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm saying that's what the media is saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's
we
the
have
scale.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki as prime examples of don't fucking nuke people.
The interesting thing with that, though, is it's so different now, right? Because when that happened, the US were the only ones with the bomb. And the scale of that bomb was tiny in compared to what can be achieved now by a MIRV-enabled, sub-launched Trident missile, right? Which has got multiple warheads, each of which is hundreds of times more powerful than the Hiroshima or Nagasaki bomb. So the scale of it now is almost... You can't comprehend it, and that's why I think... so many people kind of just don't engage with it because it is so hard to wrap your head around the numbers, the effect, the death toll. And that's why a book and a film like this, the book especially, gets into all the details, and it's brilliantly written. It's written like a thriller. So it's like, really fast paced and just like builds and builds and builds and builds. And you can't put it down. But, the scary thing is that it's not fiction, it's reality. And then, that's the problem. I think you have to try and get your head around that. And then the more people that do get their head around it, that's when a change can happen. Like, one of the scary things for me is that the presidents of the United States, some of which actively have requested not to be briefed on the nuclear arsenal because they don't want to know about the responsibility of what they have. And then the vast majority beyond that have no training or briefing on what will happen in the situation of a launch against them, right? So that the time frames are tiny. It's literally a president would have 6 minutes to decide on a counter launch plan from ICBM inbound detection to an inability to launch Counter-Strike. So they have 6 minutes to make a decision that will wipe out the world or not, right? So that pressure, and they don't have any training or knowledge about anything that are going to be told in that 6 minutes prior to it. So it's absolutely insane the way things are set up, right? That's the crazy bit. That's the stuff that could be changed, right? Oh, we've got nuclear weapons. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. Okay, but then let's have the people making the decision know what their options are and what they've got to do and what the implications are ahead of time, right? Let's let every new president should get a week-long briefing and FaceTime with every general and commander that has control of that nuclear arsenal, and they should get briefed by their security advisors and their international advisors about the implications of a counter-strike in China, or a counter-strike on North Korea, or a counter-strike on Russia, or anywhere, right? Or if it was a terrorist organization, or a rogue bomb, or a dirty bomb, or a chemically laced one, or one that's set to create the Devil's Brew scenario, which is a nuclear missile attacking a existing nuclear power plant, and what the impact of that is, right? Because that's a whole nother level of, oh my fucking god, we're doomed. So it's kind of like, they don't know any of that. They don't know any of it. And some of them don't want to know. It's like, why are you the president?
And some of them, or one of them, only wants that report in crayon.
Pictures only, please. Yeah,
pictures only.
I probably prefer a theatre show. Or like dancing. Tell me through dance. Yeah, exactly. Tell me through dance. But yeah, it's a brilliant movie. I loved the movie. I'd give it 5 stars. It is a terrifying, impactful, brilliantly performed, amazing movie. Catherine Bigelow is a fantastic director. The cast is amazing. It's terrifying, but fascinating. And I do think more people need to understand what we're facing.
10 out of 10. Good to know.
Maybe a 9. 9 out of 10.
But you said it was 5 out of 5.
Well, but on your scale,
which means 10 out of 10.
It could be either, right? If it's 5 out of 5, couldn't it? In your scale.
Speaking of things that I suspect that are also going to be 5 out of 5 and even 10 out of 10, moving kind of on to our next section in my first segue, not to a sponsor, but to your new piece of tech.
Yes. Well, look, segues allowed now as co-host of the podcast, Rob.
Exactly.
Right? So you have segue power. So well done for using segue power. It's like nuclear launch capability. You used it well. You used it well then. Very well deployed.
Yeah, but I'm not going to have several dozen different podcasts all throw segues at us in exchange. Some
Until
sort of segue war.
no podcast
Until it's just
survives.
Linus yelling the word segue at us.
Linus, good pull. I like that, Linus. Yeah, Steam Deck, man. Steam Deck. I went for the top dog, right? 1 terabyte Steam Deck OLED. I had to do it. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And it's brilliant. Like it. I've had it about 2 weeks now, maybe a bit less, week and a half. And I've been enjoying it immensely. I like it because it's a handheld PC and I get to tinker as well a lot. I get to mess around with all kinds of settings because it's basically, a Linux operating system, and I can do all kinds of funny bits and bobs to it and tweak this and change that and, mess with this and get emulators on there and get games on there that aren't even Steam games. I've got games from Epic on there. I've got games from Amazon, their service. I've got games from GOG. Hack the crap out of it. But they kind of encourage that, Valve, with this, which I love, that it's such an open platform. But also I have played some games. So I haven't though I probably have done a lot more tinkering than I have playing games. Like, that's just the nature of me when it comes to pieces of hardware. It's all about optimizing and learning. I bought a case, I've got it here with me. I mean, I can show Rob, but I can't really show the people at home, as it were. But I've been glued to it, and it has been amazing. Like, sitting, in the living room with my wife while she's watching TV, but I'm also on the Steam Deck. I've been playing it in bed. I'm sure she loves that. So it's been epic. I mean, I think it's 2 or 3 years after the thing came out. And bizarrely, I did a lot of research before I actually committed to buying this, and it's still a really good time to get one. Like, the OS has evolved a great deal. It's got functionality it didn't have at launch, and then obviously the OLED screen, which came in I think about a year ago, is stunning, right? And the one difference that the terabyte machine has, obviously over the double the storage capacity, is it has this kind of, it's got a name for it, like a tempered glass screen, scratch-free screen or something, which gives the OLED a matte finish rather than a glossy finish, so that it's a lot less reflective of light. Yeah. And I really like that, as it makes it. It's kind of like a more comfortable experience, I guess, because you're not dealing with as much reflection. It just feels a lot more still, and therefore the images are really clear, and the blacks are really, really like defined and stuff on the OLED screen. It's a beautiful screen. You wouldn't know, but it's kind of actually the beauty of it, right? Because it's a PC, because it's only running games at 720p. You can then run said games at very high spec, like high graphic settings, because it's obviously got to output a much lower resolution. Therefore, the impact of the hardware not being maybe as high as, I don't know, a 50, 80 graphics card is minimal on that screen real estate. So it's very clever what Valve's done there, where they've actually thought about where to position that hardware in terms of PC performance. And obviously they've done a lot of work. They always do those surveys, don't they? Those hardware surveys. And they really know what the majority of people are using and playing on. Most people are still on a 1080p screen. Most people are only on 30 series cards or older. They're not on 40 or 50 series, for example. So they know kind of where to position their hardware offerings. And therefore, that's why we've not seen another iteration on the Steam Deck yet, because they're looking at that and going, they don't need to, which I think is very, very clever. On the flip side of the openness of it is that not everything runs perfectly. You have to have that mindset of, okay, I can't get this to run, or it's not working with my controller layout, or it's crashing. How do I troubleshoot that? What do I do to make that work? And for an old school PC gamer like me, I actually quite enjoy that in a weird way. I'd be bored if it was too easy. But I think to a console person, who isn't familiar with PC, it would be a bigger ask, right? So that's where you'd go for the Switch 2 over an OLED or a Steam Deck or one of the Microsoft ones, yeah.
Or you just get a Steam Deck and only play the Steam Deck games on it. You just don't tinker, you don't mess around with it, you don't push it to do things it's not meant to do. You just go, okay, that's compatible with the Steam Deck, I'll play that game.
But even
like
then,
a normal person.
But no, there are layers to it. So even then, right? So it's not like every Steam game plays well on the Steam Deck, even if you bought the game through Steam. There are non-verified, verified with issues, and then like perfect. And even the perfect ones aren't as perfect as maybe they should be, and you still need to do stuff to them. What I've found is there are unverified ones that just haven't been looked at that are perfect, And then there are perfect ones that have been looked at that don't run well. So it's proper fucking weird. So you have to, there's all these kind of things you can plug into it. One of these is called Proton DB, and that means you can plug it in so that when you look at a game, it's also pulling from this user-defined database of quality of the game on the Steam Deck. And that then has its own rating system, which is like platinum, gold, silver, that kind of thing, right? But that's more accurate. And then there's tips, like where they've left comments, like a user's gone, oh, perfect, but you have to do this to make it do that. And if you do this though with that, it's going to be great. And you're like, cool. I like that, but I can imagine a lot of people will be like, just play the game, just play the damn game. But it's great. I see why people loved it. I'm looking forward to taking it away when I go on holidays and stuff like that. But even just around the house, it just makes gaming more accessible, right? I've got a library of about, I think I was looking the other day, I've got 650 Steam games. And then across the other PC services like Amazon, GOG and Epic, which I've got running, I've got 1,400 on there. And then I've got everything that's available on, I've got Game Pass streaming working on it. I've done that. So that's there as well. That's another 400 games. So I basically got this device that can play in a console form factor, a handheld form factor, anything, everything, right? If I'm willing to do a little bit of work sometimes, right? And that's just awesome, right? It just makes gaming way more accessible and easy to get into. Yeah. Any questions about it or anything?
The thing with this whole exercise, it was quite funny that I observed personally, it's not something I've shared with you directly yet, is you followed a similar thought process to a thought process myself and my partner were going through in order to break away from the locked in a room to do your gaming thing while while your partner is off elsewhere in the house doing a different thing. We both approached that problem independently without conferring and discussing, and both came to two different solutions that have come to that same end goal. For example, my partner and I, we've both gone down the Nintendo Switch 2 route. We've got two TVs in our living room hung next to each other. They're the same brand and make and model of TV, which is full of nothing but fun because the one remote turns them both on, or if one's on and one's off, the remote will go whoomph and turn one off and the other on. It's hilarious. But we've found our solution to that problem where we can have both two games running on a big TV each and that sort of thing. Whereas for yourself, you found a Steam Deck, and that tinkering and functionality is going to suit your gaming experience a lot better. For me, if I'm gaming on Steam, I'm playing Total War Hammer 3 or Total War, an RTS game which is not as good and on something handheld like a Steam Deck. I don't even know if it's compatible.
It is.
I don't think it would. Oh, how would that work?
So something the Steam Deck has, they have these like mouse pads, touch pads that replace the mouse. You think, oh, that's going to be hell. They're actually because of the haptics on the Steam Deck, so they don't move, these pads, right? They're fixed, but you tap them and it feels like a click, right? It's fucking crazy how well they work as a mouse replacement. Like honestly, and if you set all that up, because you're gonna say play hundreds of hours into a big RTS, you'd get used to it. I'm playing Civ on it. I have played some sort of like RTS light games on there as well. It works, man. It works. It's frightening how well it works. It really is.
I had high hopes for the ROG Ally X, and that's what I was going to buy before my partner and I were stood in the middle of Curry's, and we reevaluated our decisions and came to a better solution. Like, I have my Series X upstairs because I use it most days, but in the event that I want the Xbox downstairs, I just take it downstairs. I've got a perfectly sufficient TV hanging on the wall. It's not OLED and LG and 70 inches and whatnot. It's a reasonably cheap Hisense TV. It plays at 60 FPS or 60 Hertz. Does me fine, because I'm not sat there sweating over it's 110 FPS, not 120, I'm now going to cry. It works nicely. But you've got that on-the-go version when it comes to the Steam Deck, where you can take it anywhere. Like, I've been plaguing my other half with the Switch 2 in bed because I will sit up and play while she falls asleep. And it's like, will you turn that fucking brightness down? So it's interesting how we've both encountered the same issue and solved it quite happily, differently.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I did as well, I don't know if you know me, but when I go in hard, right? So at the same time as buying the Steam Deck, I bought a 100-watt charger, that I bought a dock, I bought, I did all of that. I built all the accessories and cases that I kind of looked them all up. What's the best ones to get? And I got all this stuff. And I got it all plugged in. So now it's also a Switch now, right? So I've got a spare Xbox controller Bluetooth to it. So when I put it into the dock on the TV downstairs, it basically becomes a Switch because I can play on the TV and I can, because of the way the Steam Cloud saves work as well, you can just pick up.
Yeah.
And I've already got Leah's profile on it and my wife's profile on it, which has got, I've got family sharing for my Steam library, so all of my games are available to her to play. So what was I playing there the other day, which was great to play on a handheld in bed? Fucking Mass Effect trilogy, right? Can't get that on a Switch. Nice. Just saying, like that's how. Oh, maybe you can. Can you get that on the Switch? Did they put it on the Switch?
I was about to say, hang on.
Did they put the trilogy on the Switch? I can't remember. And maybe they did. Yeah, when they re-released it, maybe they did. But I was super happy to get that up and running. Yeah, that was like that's a lot of hours. I'm gonna happily go back to. Oh, yeah, they didn't do it. They didn't port it.
They chose not to port the collection to the platform upon its release in 2021, despite fan demand.
That's bizarre. That's weird.
Mass Effect 3 was on the Wii U.
Right. Cool.
If you want to hurt yourself.
Saying that, I can play Wii U games on this because of the emulator support. Just to be clear, I'm playing some SNES games at the minute, NES games, playing Master System, Mega Drive games, Game Gear, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, DS, even DS games, right? You think, how the fuck do you do it with dual screens? But there are ways of configuring that. 3DS games, obviously there's a backed up ROMs of the games I own, obviously Nintendo, obviously.
Of course.
So, it's very flexible. And like you, I was looking at that ROG Ally X, right? And if they'd had native support for my Xbox library on that device, right? Made a proper Xbox handheld, I would have bought it. Like, there is no doubt. I've got 1,200 Xbox games digitally. I would have happily gone for that. That's an investment. That makes sense. But because it's only the Play Anywhere titles or the cloud streaming titles, I'm like, no. I'm not putting out £800, £900 on something that doesn't even do the thing it should be fucking doing. Right?
Do you know what killed it for me?
What was it?
Game Pass.
Oh, well, the price increase.
The
Killed your enthusiasm.
The price increase. Yeah, I was like, do you know what? I just have no interest now in giving you money for this.
Yeah, the timing on that could not have been worse. Because it definitely dampened my my kind of fandom for Xbox as well. I'm now in this wait and see place with Xbox. Like, what are they going to do going forwards? Because I and this is why it's such a good time to get Steam Deck, because I've bought maybe 10, 20 more bloody Steam games, right? I've been going bundles, fanatical bundles, humble bundles, just picking up random stuff I already own on other platforms just because it's easier and it's cheap. Like, so I'm just double dipping on stuff, right? But, I'm happy to kind of be going into that PC ecosystem, because the PC ecosystem isn't going anywhere, right? Because of the nature of it. It won't go anywhere. But I am genuinely concerned that Xbox could. So it's like, I'm not sure I want to keep giving them my money at this point, which is such a shame.
I'm now in a situation with Xbox where I will stick in the middle tier and they can frankly do one. If they just hiked Game Pass by £3 or £4, I'd have been a sucker and gone for it. But them introducing a different tier with different rewards, I'm like, do you know what? No, I have no interest in that level of greed. I will eventually get the games I want, and I will be patient. I'm a Destiny player. I can wait a long time for things.
Don't talk about Destiny.
Yeah, but I've not played it again in weeks.
Me neither.
Months.
And it's not far off Renegades now, is it? But no,
it isn't, and
never been less.
I'm not seeing any
given.
hype for it.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I'm really struggling. I've not gone back to Borderlands 4 recently, which is sad. I mean to go back to that because I've still got post game to do. I've still got get to level 50, go through the UVHMs. I've still got that to do, but I was pulled away onto other things, and I'm now more obsessed in my annual or semi-annual obsession. So that's what I've been focusing.
Do you want to talk about your semi-annual obsession before we talk about a little game we both played together?
I will indeed briefly touch on my semi-annual obsession. Listeners of this podcast will know I'm a bit of a Pokemon fan, and we had Pokemon Legends ZA come out. So the Legends series of games is very different to the normal standard fare, where instead of it being you're a person wandering around, you have your team of 6, and it is single pitched battles where a trainer spots you, there's an exclamation mark above the head, and there are no wild Pokemon around and they battle you, etc. With the Legends games, like Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Legends ZA, they're more real-time combat-ish. I'm using the word "ish" in massive font 72 sized letters here, where there are Pokemon out in the world, you can just throw balls at them. There are trainers out and about. You can dodge and roll because the Pokemon will attack you, not your Pokemon. They will attack you directly, and you can black out and get forced back to also Pokemon centers, which is slightly disturbing when you think about it, but never mind. So yeah, it's enjoyable. This Legends EA takes place in a single city by the name of Lumiose City in the Kalos region, which is the Pokemon Company's take on France, and we follow a storyline of 3 hotel guests, because you stay in a hotel, and you end up involved in a storyline throughout the course of the game, and it's good, it's fine, it's enjoyable, it's Pokemon, it's nice. It's not an A and B title, so Scarlet and Violet. It's a single one, so you can catch everything in it, you can explore fully all the way in that single title, which is really nice. I've enjoyed it. Decent story, good gameplay. I'm probably going to play more this afternoon, try and catch them all, as the motto of the franchise is. If you like Pokemon, you'll probably like the game.
Okay, but it's interesting because it's a very different format.
Yes.
How many times have they done this before?
Once before with Legends Arceus, which was also very different. The Legends Arceus was more time travel plot. You went all the way back as a modern Pokemon trainer. You went all the way back to before people and Pokemon were on the same team and working together, and you were using prototype Pokeballs that you were having to craft because you had to find the resources to make them because it was brand new. It was in ages past. There were loads of references in Legends EA to Legends Arceus because it's a sort of sub-game genre. I didn't finish Arceus. It's one of the very, very few. I think it's the only Pokemon game I've started and not finished.
Interesting.
Because I just didn't get on with it. I didn't hugely like it. Legends EA, much better. Much better.
Okay.
There's a lot of criticism about the textures. Because it's in a city, or the building blocks, you don't go into many buildings, which, fine, it's extra processing, extra storage, extra detail they may not choose to do, fine, whatever. But a lot of the building textures themselves are flat. You'll see a window and a little railing, and it'll just be flat. And everyone bitches about it, but I'm just sat there thinking, okay, but what are you going to do? Look at the massive, great big Gyarados over there that's, doing a hyper beam at you, and you're wanting to try and dodge out the way, or are you looking at a building going, "Boy, it's so flat." Like, come on. Just enjoy the game for what it is and stop finding things to bitch about.
It's interesting because the Switch 2, being where it is with its hardware, I'm sure could handle, better textures. But what that screams to me is that was a development choice about where they're deploying their resources during development, right? That they're focusing more on, like you said, Pokemon character models and things of that nature, rather than, unimportant, background textures for buildings. It's an artistic choice at the end of the day, right? So you're not always going to like every artistic choice, but you got to respect them for making it. So shut up and move on.
If we were having janky Pokemon models that weren't efficiently made and looked bad, we'd be criticising that because we then had flawlessly 3D buildings. We'd all be complaining that the Pokemon looked crap and the buildings looked fantastic. So it strikes me as the catch-22 of a fandom is never truly happy. There is always something for a fandom to moan about.
Yeah, yeah, and Pokemon is an interesting one because obviously it's such a large fandom across so many generations and so many different types of game players, and because of things like Pokemon Go and the card game where it brings fans from different avenues and stuff like that. I guess at this point in a generational cycle with hardware, because the Switch 2 is new, and there's also that element that players want everything to look and be as amazing as possible. So they're more likely to glom on to like graphical inadequacies, but it seems like a weird game to have an issue with that. Like if the new Metroid game looked like shit, I'd have bigger issues. I'm not a big Metroid fan, but you'd expect a game like that to be like visually impressive, whereas a Pokemon game, they're often not, right? I think the best Pokemon games, and while I'm not the biggest fan, I like the old 2D style most, right?
Agreed.
I think just like character of it, the feel of that
100%.
is so cool. But I've never liked really the 3D Pokemon games that much, the way they look. And I have dabbled with a few of them over the years because my wife's a Pokemon fan. She definitely got those games on Switch. So I have played them a bit, and every so often I'll try and get back into it or get into it for the first time, and I always bounce off. But it's just like I get it, and and it's a fairly basic ARPG, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I think what's also holding them back is that they're doing a cover between the two generations of Switch, because the game had to come out the Switch and the Switch 2, which means fundamentally the game needed to function on both of them.
Right.
So they can't go fully balls to the wall with the Switch 2 edition because they have to still make it function on the Switch 1. But even the change between Scarlet and Violet between the Switch and the Switch 2 is obscene. The lagginess and the not even 30 FPS on the Switch 1 is just an order of magnitude better on the Switch 2. In Scarlet and Violet, there's a area with some windmills that literally do frame, and it goes from like a clock 12 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 in really jerky motions. But on the Switch 2, it moves fluidly. Like, it's that level of upgrade. I think once we lose the Switch 1, which will probably be next year, and focus on just the Switch 2 for Pokemon releases, it will look even better.
I wouldn't bet that at all.
I
reckon you've got 3 more years.
Nope, we've had several leaks come from Pokemon themselves how the next generation Pokemon Wind and Waves, which is supposedly the names of them, aren't being developed for Switch 1 at all, because they got so much flack for developing Scarlet and Violet for Switch 1 and not Switch 2. Despite the fact Switch 2 hadn't come out yet, it was clearly a game that was meant for Switch 2.
Yeah, but surely it's a case of numbers, right? The Switch install base is going to be massively higher than the Switch 2 install base at this point. So you're talking about not being able to sell the game to the Switch 1, which would be... And that's why the previous generation... Yeah, but they won't be adopted to the numbers that they'd miss out on. They'll run the calculus on that, and it would not add up. I mean, it's the problem what we saw with when they came to the generation of the PlayStation and the Xbox. The same thing happened there but it was like 3 or 4 years before they stopped supporting that previous generation, because of the install bases. So I mean, maybe Nintendo will be more aggressive about it, but I don't know. I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't put money on that. So, me and Rob here really did intend to have this discussion about It Takes a War spoiler-free, but we failed. So, I'm going to put the spoiler warning in now. If you don't want to be spoiled for It Takes a War in any way, shape, or form, skip ahead to about 1 hour and 12 minutes into the podcast. Sorry about that, guys. Did our best, failed miserably. Enjoy. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about how do we talk about this? But I really want to talk about it. So It Takes a War. It Takes a War by a single developer, Thomas Mackinnon, a Scottish individual. I know that. I did a little bit of research on him earlier before we podcasted. Okay, where do I start? I was made aware of this game because I follow a fantastic content creator called Danny O'Brien, and he is the guy behind No Clip, which is a fantastic channel on YouTube, which does amazing video game documentaries and video game coverage. And they were covering the demos that were out on Steamfest, and It Takes a War had a demo, which, by the way, is its own thing, Rob, and it's completely self-contained and not part of the game that you played earlier. But so that it actually adds more to the lore, as it were. But I immediately snapped up It Takes a War. It only came out this week. It's like £4.50 or something on Steam, super cheap. And I was like, I have no idea what this game is going to be like. The demo was super weird. And the game is interesting, to say the least. It's got this sort of like old school Counter-Strike, late 90s, early 2000s FPS look to it, ostensibly. And then it uses that as a framing device to tell a really interesting little story, like a meta story. But
you use the word interesting quite liberally there.
Oh, you didn't enjoy it. Interesting to me that you didn't connect with this.
The story just irked me more than anything.
Okay, we got to be super vague because
this is why it's really difficult to talk about.
Yeah, because it's quite. Let's just say it's a fairly experimental experience. It's doing stuff with tech. It's doing stuff with narrative. It's doing stuff with structure. It's doing stuff with genre that are all very interesting to me. My question is: so the era of gaming that this is kind of referencing, did you experience that?
Nope.
That might be the problem. Okay. Because this rang very true to me due to having lived through and gamed in that environment in that time period. And I had those experiences, right? Actually, it was very connected to my personal experiences, which obviously it was for the creator, Thomas Mackinnon, as well. This was obviously a very personal story, I would have said, or very heavily inspired by personal experiences. And I thought that was some powerful stuff. I thought that was really interesting. It's an hour long, basically. It's pretty much a one and done. It's not really a replayable experience, but but for a $5, that's fine. I actually bought the game for myself, thought, I want Rob to talk about this with me. I'll bought it for Rob as well. So Thomas, you got 2 sales out of this, just so you know. Send me a message on Twitter to thank me.
There's something ironic about the fact that you wanted to talk about it with me, but we can't talk about it because that would provide spoilers.
Yeah, it's a tough one to chat about, but I love an indie game that takes a swing, that does something different, that tries to explore something that maybe hasn't been looked at a lot. You, however, are more of a gamer for gaming's sake rather than like meta stuff. I don't know. What is it you didn't? How can you talk? How do you talk about this?
The gameplay loop was irritating.
Yeah, but I think that's so intentional.
It annoyed me and made me want to stop playing it.
Yeah, but that's intentional.
They frequently made suggestions to just Alt F4 or stop playing, and I was like, if this was something I had bought myself, I would. The only reason I stuck it out to the end is because you bought it for me and we were talking about it now, or I would have got less than 10 minutes in and gone, all right, you've told... Any game that tells me to quit playing it, I will follow its instructions, because you clearly don't have any awareness or confidence that that's a stupid thing to say.
No, but because it's... How do I describe it? That's the games we had then. Right? They weren't great. Your choices were limited, but you kept playing them for the people you were playing it with rather than the game itself. Right? So that it was the social aspect that brought you back.
Yeah, but they did nothing to make the people interesting, let alone the technical issue with the fact that I had to run it in a beta branch.
Oh, well, I don't even know if that's real or not. Like, has this intentionally been released broken? So you have to jump through these hoops to make it work? I think it maybe was.
Almost certainly.
It's fascinating. Because again, that talks to the era of the game, right? That it's aping, that it's homaging, that it's referencing. And I think there's layers upon layers here of really interesting fiction and but like we were talking about what is real and what is fiction and what is it makes you question all of that, and I think it's fucking genius.
It doesn't.
It
does. Didn't make me question it. Because
you're sending me messages like, "Is this intentional? Is this intentional? Am I meant to do this or not?"
Yes, because the game was unstable.
No, but it wasn't. Or was it?
Admittedly, it wasn't.
Or was it?
Either which way, I was just trying to have an outlet to vent my irritation with the game more than anything. Just about 2 minutes in, I'd figured out the gimmick.
All
Less
right.
than 2 minutes in.
I'm going to have to put a massive spoiler warning now inserted into the edit before we talk about this, because we've tried to not talk about it, but even by trying not to talk about it, we've now talked about it. So let's fucking talk about it, because we've not been able to avoid talking about it. Okay, so this is like a game that is metafiction, that is kind of the game breaks, but intentionally breaks. It messes with your perception of the game. It crashes. It uses your webcam. It looks at your files. It looks at your friends.
Steam friends.
It harvests your Steam friends. It looks at your desktop. It does all these interesting kind of almost slightly hacky, could be considered potentially security risky things, but I think probably gets away with it because of what you agree with the Steam TOS. But like it's kind of cool, and the whole thing is that you're playing this like Counter-Strike game with this group of people that are talking in voice chat, but you're a random and you're not allowed to talk with them. You can't talk with them, obviously, because it's how would that work? But they're like having this story about a friendship group that's kind of fractious, and one of them's being pushed out of the group, and then he gets more and more stressed and upset and decides to, like, you know, leave the group and maybe do something horrible and stuff. But that's so true to the experience of multiplayer gaming at the turn of the millennium. Like, I cannot, because everybody was like way more open with who they were in those experience back then. It was a way more real experience talking to people online. You made friends for life in those experiences. I don't think that really happens now. And you'd connect with people, and everybody was way more naive and way more open, and stuff would really, you'd let things really affect you, and you could, and you would care what randoms on the internet said, because you'd spent 20 hours, 30 hours, 50 hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours playing Counter-Strike or playing World of Warcraft or equivalent with those people. And I think what this game does, and makes you kind of just talk about, you know, it takes a war. What's the final subtitle it calls itself? It takes a war to something.
I don't know. That's how much effect it's had on me.
I can't remember either, but it was quite... I thought it was really cool, Rob. I can't believe you didn't like it.
No, it was annoying. I don't like things that fuck with my computer. I don't like things that don't have a defined gameplay loop.
But
it didn't. It was... You play this Counter-Strikey type shit shooting game, which I had to reconfigure the controls because I'm left-handed anyway, so that already set me an annoyance and irritation. Like, it was just bad.
But intentionally bad.
Gameplay loop.
Intentionally bad.
Well, he succeeded.
That's a choice. That was a choice.
The second you press, because the main menu has find match as the primary option. So, okay, first of all, no way this piddly little game that I've been told takes less than an hour to complete and nothing else has servers for this. Find match. Okay, that must be the new game option, sure. Okay. Oh, these are pre-recorded people. These aren't real. It's going to be one of them.
Oh, Rob, why didn't you just let yourself... I mean, obvious, yeah, if you pick it apart, but go with it and just give yourself to it and like, let it do what it's doing.
None of them were convincing.
Oh, I thought they were really good.
The antagonist character was just a knob for the sake of being a knob.
Yeah, but that's what people are like.
Yes, I exist online.
Have you met me, Rob? Griefer extraordinaire. Like, I mean,
yeah,
like...
I remember playing Sea of Thieves with you. Never again. But it's just, I don't need a game to replicate people and have that staged as some sort of poor interactive play. The frame rate drops when I change transition into different maps and rooms and whatever were crippling.
I didn't have any of that. That's
weird.
Oh
yeah, I went down to like 1 frame a second.
I didn't.
When you moved from like the dirt filth map to random people's rooms.
I can imagine that this. I mean, it's a one developer situation. I would have thought he's probably not been able to optimize it for everything and anything.
Probably not, which is fair. He gets mostly a pass from me for that one. In fairness, it's hard to optimize for every bit of hardware out there. But I just these sorts of game novels. Like the Telltale games, it's what it reminded me of as a Telltale game.
It was a lot better than that, personally.
I don't like any of them anyway.
See, I
have no interest.
I am a sucker for fourth wall breaking metafiction.
Nope,
I absolutely love it.
I'm playing games as an escapism from the nuclear impending war of today. I don't really fancy having a game remind me that people are dickheads. I will play Borderlands because I want to shoot some things and make crazy explosions and happy fun times, and there's a diamond unicorn that shits out loot when you feed it purple bricks, which actually is what happens. I want to play that. I want to play Destiny, space magic, and guns, and apparently now Star Wars because of Disney and Lucasfilm. I want to play that, not, this guy called Colin's a knob. Like, and look, my PC is now made. Well, the game has stopped itself because it's hit its mark point to crash, and then, for fuck's sake, this is intentional. For God's sake, like, no, I have no interest in it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'm
love
grateful that you chose to share the experience with me.
I am glad.
And I'm not trying to be ungrateful as you gifted it to me.
No.
This is just my opinion that it was a crock of shit.
I'm honestly really glad you've got a very different opinion. Because your experience is just as valid as mine, and I think that's what's so interesting about this. I think the biggest issue there, what we're talking about, is not just that it's a genre or a type of storytelling you don't like, but you didn't share the experiences obviously so carefully trying to replicate. So there's there's a verisimilitude to the nostalgia that's affecting me with this, which obviously therefore opens the door and makes it easier for me to walk and engage with the subject, right? So it to me, it's less a video game and more like an artistic piece that you would find in a theater or in an art gallery, right? Like it's almost, and to be honest, he does that. There's actually an art gallery sequence in it, right? Because he's very conscious again of what he's doing. This creator, I think, none of that's by accident, and I like that he's got such a strong vision and that he's executing it through the medium of video game, right? Because that connects with a different type of audience and connects with more people potentially. I don't think I'll ever play it again, but to me it reminded me of things like the Stanley Parable, right? Stuff like that. So, but I think the Stanley Parable is got more money, more budget. It's a lot bigger in scope with a lot more branching options and storytelling devices, whereas this is a lot more focused and singular in its path and what it's trying to deliver. Again, it feels very personal. It feels very, very personal to the creator. I could be wrong. I'd love to. I know he's out there on Twitter. I'm definitely going to tag him in this episode. Maybe I could get him on the podcast tonight. I'd love to talk to him about it. He's a Scottish guy. No, but I think he is an artist, right? Creator and artist. Not everyone is always going to love your art. All right. So I think, hopefully that can be taken as it is intended, because your view is just as valid as mine. I loved it. I love to see things doing something different. I thought it was really cool and creative. But I can totally see why someone else might not. And might just think, oh, what a load of navel-gazing bullshit, right? Because it kind of is. Right? I do see that at the same time. But no, I really dug it. I really, really dug it. I actually left my first ever Steam review off the back.
First ever Steam review? Yep. Why?
I just gave it a thumbs up and went, so I only wrote like 2 lines on it or something, but I was like, big love. Yeah. Okay, that was good. I'm glad you didn't like it like I did almost. That's good. What I will say, let's just want to touch on one other thing that it's kind of in a similar vein to this, but totally different at the same time. You see what I mean? I've been playing on my Steam Deck predominantly, although I did play a bit on PC as well. Mortal Kombat Legacy by Digital Eclipse. Do you know what this is? Or do I need to? And you know what Mortal Kombat is, but do you know what this is, Rob?
I'm guessing some sort of legacy collection of Mortal Kombat games. Fighting. Very
good. Where'd you get that? How could you have possibly gleaned that?
I'm just special.
So what Digital Eclipse does is they do these like retrospective documentary games, is the way I would describe it. So they did Tetris, they've done Atari, they did Llamasoft, and they did the making of Karateka. So this is their newest one, which is looking at the early Mortal Kombat games. So Mortal Kombat 1 through 4, the Ed Boon driven kind of the mostly the 2D era, the digitized video, real people fighting classic Mortal Kombat games, which the reason that this was sort of similar in a way to It Takes a War is it speaks to a very specific time, a very specific era of games, and a very specific nostalgic period of when I was playing games and engaging with these as these hyper-violent, rule-breaking, getting talked about in Congress games that were part of the reason behind the creation of the whole rating system for games, was because of the violence in Mortal Kombat. So these are very important games, and this is a beautiful package which has got like basically every version of those first 4 Mortal Kombat games and a few others. So arcade, every different console version, every different handheld version you can play, but then it's wrapped around this brilliant documentary which is all done on this timeline. So you have things like screenshots, high resolution images of the original notes for the character bios. You've got lots of interview pieces. You've got pictures of the box art and pictures of the cabinets, retrospective pieces, and it's all done on the timeline as the games were developed and as they came out over that period. And you can then play the games as well, and you can put cheats modes on. You can really dig into the whole experience, and it's this wonderful kind of like history and encapsulation of the entire kind of Mortal Kombat franchise that was so formative and important to a lot of people through that era. It's a wonderful package if you're at all interested in Mortal Kombat or the history of games, or seeing behind the curtain about how these games were made. Like the original Mortal Kombat was made by like 4 people. Hard to believe that a game with so much impact was made by 4 people, right? So, and you get to, and they've got them all interviewed, and they've got all this like amazing access and documents, and it's just a love letter. And these guys, they do great work at Digital Eclipse. They did the Tetris one as well. The Tetris one is good. I wouldn't say as good as this. Its focus is so much on the 2 predominant creators behind Tetris, and then also it doesn't have, because of the licenses issues and the rights issues with Tetris, it doesn't have, for example, the original Game Boy version of Tetris, which was most people's way in to Tetris, right? And that's not part of that package. So it feels like it's very much lacking because that's tied to Nintendo. They couldn't get it. Whereas this has everything, and it feels much more all access. But yeah, it's fabulous. It's a wicked package. Plays wonderfully on the Steam Deck. Plays great on PC. I'm sure it'll be great on consoles as well. I know there's been some reports that the online multiplayer for some of those games is a bit hinky, not the best. But I'm not going to play any of those games online personally. I'm not interested in that. I'll play against the computer, or I'll do some local matches if I really fancy it. But I'm not interested in playing Mortal Kombat 1 through 4 online against people. I'm like, I couldn't give a crap about doing that at all. It just brings back memories of me stood in the arcade in the seaside town I grew up on, feeding 50p's into a Mortal Kombat cabinet and trying to pull off finishing moves at the end. I love doing that. It's interesting because arcades weren't as much of a part of the culture here as they were in the US. So it was much more of like a special occasion to get to play at the arcade. But even then, the excitement you'd feel when you saw that cabinet and the great, the artwork on it and the attract screen. I always want to play Mortal Kombat because it's the one where you rip the guy's head off. It's awesome.
My partner and I pretty much almost every month or every other month we'll take 20 quid out and go to a local seaside town to burn it all in the arcade.
That's nice. I like that. That's cool. But the difference
with tickets and stuff like that.
But that was the thing. It was always a trip, wasn't it? It was a special trip. In America, they'd have the arcades at every mall, not even every mall, like every little out of town shopping area. There'd be you'd go every day after school, and we didn't quite have that in the UK. It didn't quite penetrate that way, unfortunately. I guess the way the country's set up, it's not really sort of that, doesn't work that way, doesn't encourage that kind of thing as much as easily. But I wish it had happened over here like that. But we still got it. I think for me though, it was definitely memories of playing Mortal Kombat on the SNES. I had the version on the SNES at home. I played that so much, and Street Fighter 2 Turbo, that my thumbs would bleed. Like, because I'm rolling it across the D-pad so much that I'd have bleeding thumbs from playing it so much.
That's where you're playing too much there.
Right, you got to push through. Got to make the hard callus right, and then you can roll it even better. Just got to push through. That's a badge of honour. That was at school. We'd go in and we'd compare our bleeding thumbs. Like, I'm not even joking, Rob. We would be like, "How much did you play last night? This is how much. I'm gonna fucking smash you at the weekend, mate." Like, that's what you would do. Yeah. So
my formative fighting games were Soul Calibur 3 to be precise.
That's a good game.
I highly enjoyed that game on PlayStation 2. Absolutely fantastic.
It's a good game. It's
yeah.
a good game. Right, let's wrap up with a little bit of TV chat, which I think is mostly going to be me again.
Probably I've not watched anything new or exciting. I am watching something new, actually, that's airing at the moment, which I know you won't have watched and won't watch, is Hazbin Hotel. Yeah, it's an adult-focused anime, very much an adult-focused anime. It is, or an animation, not anime. It is made by Amazon Prime. It is following the Hell of a Boss and Hazbin universe by Vibzi Madrano, I believe her name is. And she has a unique way of looking at it. Hazbin Hotel follows a hotel in hell that is there to redeem sinners and try and get them into heaven. And you follow Charlie Morningstar, daughter of Lucifer, who's trying to redeem people in hell and get them sent into heaven. And very much hell is the good guy. Well, Charlie is the good guy. And heaven are so the bad guys. But it posts some interesting story developments and interesting scenarios where there are some mild spoilers. But at the end of season 1, a character gets redeemed and they go into heaven and they appear in heaven, and heaven shits themselves because they didn't know it was possible. And it turns out once they get there, they don't have a swell time. Because if you think about it, you have been in hell for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. You do one thing and you get redeemed and you shit yourself into existence in heaven and they don't react well to it. How isolated would you feel as the only redeemed person who has been in hell and you appear in heaven? How alone would you feel? Where everyone has been the good guys, where you've been the bad guy and redeemed yourself. Like that's a very interesting lens which I did not anticipate, and it's very curious because all they then want to do is leave heaven. They want to go back and see their friends, but they can't. It's still airing at the moment, so there's plenty more story development to come, but I'm absolutely loving it. It is a musical, so there's lots of songs and singing. The songs are amazing. So yeah, I'm highly enjoying it. I'm excited to talk to our friends James and Milena about that one, because they're big fans of it as well. And you have been silent for a while, so I'm going to stop talking.
Snuck some anime in here, bro.
Yeah, but it's animation, technically, not anime, but still.
Oh, I don't even know what to say to any of that. It was just lots of random words.
It's worth watching the first 2 or 3 episodes of season 1. You'll either enjoy it or you won't. It's definitely one of those things that is made as an animation because it's impractical to make as a real story with real people. Live action is impractical to tell that story, so they use animation to tell it. Like you in the first season and the first episode, you meet Adam, as in Adam and Eve Adam, and he literally has a song about hell is forever. Go fuck yourself if you think people can come up and get into the pearly gates. Go fuck yourself. And uses some worse language then as well. This is when it's adult focused. It's very, very interesting how they portray it and everything. I absolutely love the show. So yeah.
Okay.
Definitely worth a watch because it is very funny. Like Keith David voices one character.
Where would I find this to watch?
Amazon Prime.
Okay. I've got that. Yeah. That'd be easy. Yeah, fair enough.
They're like 20, 25 minute episodes.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a go. I mean, yeah, you guys do sing its praises a lot. So, yeah, maybe I should give it a go. I'll mention I've started my Stranger Things rewatch. Do you know what surprised me when I started doing it? I was like, oh my God, I'm rewatching. It's only season 4, the last season. It feels like it should be like season 10 or something, considering how long it's been. But no, season 4. One thing that I guess sort of surprised me, I think I've done the first 2 episodes so far, was, oh damn, I'd forgotten how dark this was. Like it's easily the darkest season, and it starts off incredibly bleak. I would have said, yeah. Rewatching season 4 or just from the start? Just 4. Just 4. Yeah. Okay, I'll follow you. Like the way it starts off with what Vecna does with Chrissy, And then obviously just all the school stuff with where the kids are and how they're being treated, how Eleven's being treated. It's just really quite oppressively heavy going, and I'm not sure I like that. I'll be honest with you. I think it's lost a little bit of its charm there compared to some of the earlier seasons. But I also get, like the Harry Potter movies, right? As they get older and the subject matter gets more serious, that it's an important part of the evolution of the storytelling for those characters as well. That the darkness is reflective of their, you know, growing into adults and understanding, you know, the real world more as well. There's less naivety, there's less innocence. So it works on a few levels, I suppose. But yeah, that Chrissy death scene is like brutal.
I think it's cause and effect. Like, things happen through seasons 1 to 3 that necessitates the darker season 4. And I've seen snippets of the first 5 minutes of season 5 that have been posted online, and oh boy, if you think season 4 is dark, good luck.
Well, I also heard there was a lot of like slightly dodgy CGI de-aging, so I thought, you know what, I'm not going to watch that. I'm just going to watch it when it comes out, because I don't want to be like bummed out by bad special effects. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm excited about season 5. It's like a couple of weeks away now. So it's going to be a good time. We'll definitely be talking about that, spoiler free, I suspect, on the podcast. So we'll warn about that when it comes up.
Spoiler free for the first half, and then spoilery for the second.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it goes as well as it did for our It Takes a War discussion just now. But yeah, I've also checking out on Apple TV Plus Invasion. There's been 3 seasons of that, and I've not watched any of it, so I don't know why I hadn't watched it. It's basically about an alien invasion, but it's one of those sort of like slightly mystery box type shows, you know, the ones that were like 2010s everybody loved, you know, where they drip feed you reveals and it would take a while. So that was part of the reason why I didn't watch it as it was coming out, because I think it would have been super annoying. But the fact that there are 3 seasons done now, I'm like, okay, this won't be as annoying because I can just keep going, and I don't have to wait a week between each little tiny tidbit of information. But it's really well made. It's I'm only still in season 1, towards the end of it though, but like the aliens are different to what you would have seen previously, which is kind of cool. I don't want to spoil it, but it's worth checking out. It's quite creative. I think one of the problems is it's told from this perspective of like, I'd say 4 or 5 different groups around the world, and I find myself definitely liking certain bits more than others. Like, there are some character groups where I'm like, or characters that I'm just like, I do not relate to or care about you. But just get back to the other bit, because that bit's really interesting. So that's slightly annoying that you don't kind of enjoy them all equally, I guess. But for example, I'm normally really into the military side of stuff, the soldier stuff, and, you know, special forces. And there's a particular perspective which is to do with this soldier who's out in Afghanistan and what he's going through. But he's just like the least believable military operator I've ever seen in anything. He's constantly useless and crying. And it just doesn't... I guess they were trying to give them nuance and make you empathize, because he's very alone in it, but he's also really, really annoying. So I'm hoping he redeems himself in some way, like is less annoying. And then you'd have thought the bit I would like the least would be like the nuclear family, 2 parents, 2 kids situation. Yes, the kids are annoying. Kids have to be annoying in these types of shows, I find. They have to put themselves in peril and scream a lot and get themselves in trouble. But actually, the dynamic in there is not what you'd expect. The mother character is really, really good. And also the father character as well, because again, it's not what you expect. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but it's cool. It's cool. It's worth checking out. Invasion. Yeah, if you're looking for, you know, that kind of show, thriller, tense, aliens, you know, humans trying to come to terms with what's going on and not really understanding, because the people are disparate and they're not like, you know, the president. They mostly don't know what's going on, right? Because it's all happening quickly and they're just sort of reacting to stuff around them. So yeah, it's cool. And then final one I want to give a shout out to is I think I might have mentioned it was coming, but it hadn't come out yet, or just come out. 4 episodes in now to The Chair Company, which is Tim Robinson's newest thing on God, what's it showing on? I can't remember. Sky Atlantic, I think I want to say, something like that. And it is, yeah, it's an HBO show, so it'll be Sky Atlantic. It's just the most awkward, weird, like conspiracy sort of thriller / awkward comedy sitcom thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's super uncomfortable and weird and funny and dark, so dark. And it's like it's like kind of like a man's descent into a conspiracy rabbit hole, which may or may not be real. And kind of like, is he just making this all up? Is it all in his head? Is he just deluding himself like he has done in the past with other things? And is it like, because his life is quite boring, this is what he does to make his existence more interesting? And it's very strange and it's very uncomfortable, but it's also like you can't look away. So I do recommend it. I don't know what, like, if I like it, but I would recommend it. It's definitely not just straight up funny like I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, which is just hilarious. This is way more like dramedy / just odd, very odd.
Yeah.
Hard to encapsulate what genre I'd call The Chair Company, but worth watching.
Okay, Invasion sounds more like my kind of thing.
I think you'd like.
I must say.
I think you'd like Invasion. Yeah, I think you'd like it. Now that there's 3 seasons of it as well. Like I said, I think you'll probably it'd be interesting to see what characters you like and don't like compared to what I like and don't like. I really like. There's another one which is all set in Japan. And the Japanese characters I think are really interesting because it's such a different culture and how they approach things and do things there. And I've really enjoyed that. That's been really cool. And unfortunately, like Sam Neill from In the Mouth of Madness is in the first episode, but he's only in the first episode, which is such a shame because he was brilliant in the first episode, and then he's not in it anymore. And it's the first episode, guys, and it came out like 4 years ago or 5 years ago. So if you consider that a spoiler, I apologize, but yeah, I mean, well, put it this way, he hasn't come back yet. So, I guess he theoretically could. Like, he could come back.
Not deaf, then.
We're dealing with sci-fi stuff, after all.
True.
So, yeah, but it was interesting. Because it is weird that they cast him and then he's only been in the first episode. So I kind of keep half expecting him to reappear.
In the finale and just, like, crap himself back into existence.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I have not really seen any spoilers about the show or read any plot twists, so I couldn't say if he does or not. I mean, it is theoretically possible, I would say. Yeah, it's theoretically possible. Okay, you got anything else you wanted to bring up? Otherwise, we'll wrap this up.
No.
I've got to go and make a spoiler klaxon now. So
yes, indeed you do. I suspect it's going to come in more and more useful as we get closer and closer to Stranger Things. I am going to go swimming with my partner.
Oh, where you? Well, what pool's near you?
The Hive in Ely.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Hive in a unknown city nearby. I live in Cambridgeshire. Fuck it. The Hive in Ely, which is about 20 minutes away.
Rob just quietly doxing himself on a podcast.
I've doxed my county, not my home. So
if you listen to this quick enough, you can go and have a swim with Rob in Ely. That
is not possible. No one can listen to this quick enough apart from you and your wife. And if the both of you appear there, I will fall over. But yeah. It's all good.
That was good. That was really good. Okay, awesome. Right, well, hopefully we'll be back a bit quicker than 3 weeks for the next one. But it's been lovely chatting to you, as always, Rob. We had some good stuff to go over there. I really enjoyed that. But I think, let me just run through it. We talked about Predator Badlands. That's 4 out of 5. We talked about In the Mouth of Madness. I'll give that a score. That's 4 out of 5. House of Dynamite, 5 out of 5. Fantastic thriller. Steam Deck OLED, 5 out of 5. That thing's amazing.
10 out of 10.
It Takes a War. Right, let's give it separate scores. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5.
1 out of 10.
Wow. Mortal Kombat Legacy, 4 out of 5. Pokemon ZA?
4 out of 5. No, I fell into the trap. Shit. 7 out of 10.
What are you doing? You can't have your own score. What score is that?
We said independent scores. You said independent scores. So 7 out of 10. And
Hazbin Hotel?
10 out of 10 every day.
I'll give that a what the fuck out of 10. Stranger Things.
That's actually a very accurate rating for that.
Stranger Things. Season 4. Stranger Things Season 4.
10 out of 10. Love Season 4.
4 out of 5.
Love it.
4 out of 5.
Ooh.
Invasion, 3 out of 5. But could go higher. Let's see how it goes. Could go higher.
Yeah.
Right, 3 out of 5 right now. Chair Company, that's a what the fuck out of 10. I'm even using the other scoring for that because I just no idea. Gonna have to see how that comes together. Like towards the end of that season, it's super weird. Okay, I like that. Let's do that. We'll do that in the future. We'll go through everything we talked about and we'll score it at the end for no reason. But it's been a lovely podcast. If you want to find us anywhere on social medias, go to 8deadgiants.com and that will point you in the direction of all of our subscriptions, our YouTube channels, and our social media outlets. Until then, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast platforms of choice, be it Apple, Spotify, Overcast, Podcatchers.net. I don't know, Podbean, I can't think, Audible, give us an Audible rating, love that. And that'd be great. And so until next time, go out there, nearly Christmas, have fun, bye.